Hey everybody, welcome back to MACkiteboarding Wing Wednesdays. I'm Tucker, and today I'm going to talk with you about one of the more highly anticipated wings of this summer. Yes, I said this summer because we're talking about a light wind wing today from F1, and in a lot of locations, summertime means light wind time. It's beautiful out there. You want to go to the beach, hang out, and if there's a little bit of wind, you want to go for a cruise, of course. So what we got here is regarded as one of the best light wind wings in the market year after year, and that is the F1 CWC. For 2024, what we've got here is the Aluula Treatment on the struts and on the boom here, which really stiffens that up and lightens up the back half of the wing and makes it a lot more fun and playful. Also makes it very lightweight. As you can tell here, it's trying to fly away on me. While I'm doing the video here, I just got a few knots of wind coming off the porch, and this thing wants to take off. This is it, the 2024 F1 CWC Aluula, and this is gonna be the only model this year. They're not gonna have an Aluula model. They're not gonna have a full Aluula framed model with the leading edge Aluula. They just kind of hybridized it together and made it into what they thought was the best wing without going totally nuts off the charts in terms of price. So what you get here is a lot of the benefits of the Aluula without having to pay the heavy price tag. Especially on such a large wing like this, the price does get exponentially larger when you're using the whole frame in Aluula. So this is the wing. Let's give it a quick once over, talk about some of the cool details here, and then I'll give you my review towards the end. So if you don't care about the details, you just want the review, skip towards the end. Starting at the front, we've got their redesigned surf handle. As compared to previous years, this surf handle is a lot stiffer. You can see I'm really reefing on it here, and it's not moving a whole lot. It's also a little bit larger, so you can actually get your whole hand in there, even if you have a glove on, which is awesome. It does have a neoprene patch, as is kind of the standard nowadays, underneath. We've got our leash attachment here. It does include a wrist leash. It's also easily removable here with a lark's head, so that you can connect it to a harness or a quick disconnect or a quick release, whatever you want to do. But it's a really nice, comfortable harness, leash with a nice cuff on it here. Very flexible and really nice, reliable connection here. No plastic on this. It's a metal D-ring, lark's head over nylon webbing here connection, so nothing to break, nothing to worry about when it gets cold. Really nice leash there. Coming into the handles here, these are newly designed for 2024 along with the rest of the wing range from F1. In the past, they had looked a lot like these. This is what comes included. This is called their soft handle. As compared to years past, it's still stiffer. You can tell it's pretty stiff. There's like a piece of plastic that runs through here and stiffens that up, but still very narrow diameter. It's very square and ergonomic to hold on to. It's not round where it's wanting to slip out of your hands. It's actually square where you can really kind of lock into that just with your fingertips. It's also going to allow you to use different handles that they've come out with. So they have the semi-rigid, which has some like stiffer plastic in the first portion of it. They look a lot like this. They're also kind of a plastic foot that fits into there. So you can easily put them in, put them out a little easier than with the Velcro, which is on this one. They've also got a hard handle version that'll be coming out, which is an angled hard handle for the front with kind of a pistol grip, and then a straighter hard handle for the back. They're purchased individually, so you can do just a hard handle on the front, just a hard handle on the back, whatever suits you. They've also got a boom coming that will fit in here, carbon boom, and it's compatible across the range, although you do want to make sure you're buying the right size. Both sizes work kind of in the core of the range, but the bigger sizes fit the bigger wings, the smaller sizes fit the smaller wings, as you might expect. So going into this is the harness line. This is not included, so if you want to ride a harness in a harness line, you're going to have to add this a la carte. This one is the Ozone V2. It also works great with the F1, of course. And I've just hooked it on the harness handles, or on the wing handles here, which works really well. And you can adjust where you want them based on your power. But just on the inside stanchions here seem to work really nice. The wing's really well balanced. Handles are in a nice spot. And I would say The soft handles are kind of your default option. If you don't know what you want, you're not really picky, the soft handles come included. It's a great handle option. It's soft, but it's still pretty firm, very ergonomic, so it's an easy choice to go with that. But if you want something very specific, like a hard handle, a boom, or just a hard handle up front where you can pistol grip it a little easier, and then leaving the soft handle back to keep it nice and lightweight, you can do that. So it's got options galore, and obviously F1 quality, you know it's solid. This handle system is phenomenal. Haven't had any issues with it thus far, although I have not been on the hard handle or the boom option quite yet. Those should be available here in a month or two. Okay, so that is kind of the basics of that stuff. Going into the Aluula struts and micro struts, I guess we'll call them at the wingtips here. The idea with the CWC, if you're not familiar with it, is to get a lot of canopy without a really cumbersome wingspan. So the wingspan on this 7 meter is very similar to that of a 6 meter, what would normally be. And they can get away with that because those struts help to extend the canopy back into that. But then the wingtips, if you look at the wingtips, they're cut out here. So normally it would come all the way out here and you'd have this kind of big wingtip come down. They're cut out at kind of a 45-degree angle, and that keeps them off the water as you're pumping. So in addition to being a smaller wingspan, the idea with the CWC is that that wingtip that's always so problematic isn't there. So it almost feels like a 5 meter when it's in your hands, which is always a great thing for your wing to feel smaller and more maneuverable and just less cumbersome. So you don't need to think about it as much when you're out there on the water, especially when you're flying a really big wing. They're kind of cumbersome to begin with, so if they can feel smaller, that's really excellent. And they've definitely accomplished that. The CWC is a go-to wing for wingers in light wind year after year after year, and this one is no exception. Every year it gets a little bit better, a little bit different. I would say last year it lost a little bit of low end for a lot of riders, but it gained a ton of high end in performance. And then this year they've kind of pulled that back again just to make it a little bit more accessible and really scratch the bottom of the barrel in terms of what you can ride in the lightest of lightest wind. And what they've done with that is they have increased the foil section a little bit here on this back baffle, make it a little deeper, a little bit more powerful, a little bit more lift on that low end before you really get moving fast. And with the new Aluula struts, it's a real lightweight feel. So when you're pumping and snapping that wing, it doesn't feel like a big heavy anchor. It's very reactive and snappy. It's very lightweight when you're moving it around. So again, it just kind of goes back to that ethos of the CWC feeling like a smaller wing than it really is. And I would say what they've really done that's special about this wing versus the past few years is that it has that great, easy to access, very user-friendly pull and go, low end grunt, but they've somehow maintained an excellent top end range as well and very efficient apparent wind generation. So once you do get up and get riding, it's really fun. It maximizes your board speed and turns that into forward speed and compounds that speed so that you can feel like you're riding in more wind than you actually are. So just going back to it, riding a big CWC is a lot like riding a 5 meter in good wind, only you don't need that good wind. So that's really what makes this wing special, what makes it so incredibly popular out there for light wind riders, for heavier riders that just want a wing that's more reactive, more fun, easier to ride. And the CWC accomplishes that for sure in 2024. I think it's really going to be a leading choice for anyone riding in light wind again this year, and really coming after it with that kind of performance, that kind of fun, without really going crazy into $3,000, $4,000 for a wing with some special materials like this. Getting into the canopy, you'll notice we don't have a window. That is kind of the standard for F1. They like to keep their wings very lightweight, very uniform in the canopy so that they're consistently breaking in. You don't have these weird spots and wrinkles. You know, you don't need to worry about how to fold that window and all of that. It's just a very lightweight, fun, stiff canopy They do have some special stuff going on with the canopy layout. The primary part of the canopy here is a nice lightweight 2x2. And then in the trailing edge, where they really need that stiffness and want to reduce that bagging when you're riding overpowered, they've got a micro ripstop there that has a lot more reinforcement per square inch. So it's just a stiffer, more durable canopy in the trailing edge, just to really help make sure that that canopy isn't bagging out prematurely, and that it's really holding its own for years to come, not just great for one season that's dead. It really, helps with that. And then coming back into this area here, we've got the radial panel layout, they call it, and a load diffuser panel here, a lighter weight load diffuser than you get on some of their other wings. And that just helps, again, disperse that load coming off those critical sections of the wing and reorients the canopy material so that it's optimized for stiffness, longevity, and performance, of course. So they've really kind of gone back to the drawing board with this one. Very clean lines, very clean foil section, and it does generate a ton of power on the low end. I've been very happy with it, and you kind of forget you're on a big wing while you're out there, which is what you want to do on a light wind day. You want to have adequate power without feeling like you're out there driving a barge, trying to control the albatross, so to speak, out there on the water. So they've really knocked it out of the park in the 4th generation of the CWC, and I haven't been happier with this wing. It keeps getting better year after year. I think last year they may have taken a step a little too high performance. A lot of riders in the light wind just want something that'll get them up and get them going, and they're happy with that. It doesn't really matter the high end if you can't get up to begin with. So I'm really happy to see that they built in a little bit more grunt again this year, a little bit more lift into the foil section, so that you can really, get those powerful pull up right on foil. You can ride it with a smaller board if you want to. You don't need to have, a super light wind downwind board to have fun. You can still have a smaller board and get out there in light wind and have a blast. You just kind of get it up there and do your pull-ups on it, and it'll lift you right up out of the water. So it's a pretty special wing in that regard. Now I've been riding this one for quite a while now. I'm not entirely sure they're going to have this specific colorway in the actual production run, because this is a sample, but it does look pretty cool. What I can tell you though is this wing is so much fun. It'll get you out there in the lightest of wind, assuming you have the skill and the right foil and board, of course, but just a very easy, user-friendly wing. As I said before, it likes the big scooping pumps, but if you get moving a little bit and you want a couple of quick pops, the lightweight build in this canopy really allow a quick snappy pop as well. So it's a lot less finicky about how you pump the wing than a lot of other wings on the market. Some really want those big, deep scoops, and some want those quick pops. But this one does pretty well with both, in the appropriate situation, of course. If you're on a big or a little tiny board, you're probably gonna want those big pull-up type pumps. If you're on a smaller downwind board, some with more speed on the water, then those quick little pops will get you rolling right at the end when you're almost there, and you just need a little bit more. That'll be a good way to do that, so that you're not totally decelerating when you're going for that second pop. You can just pop, 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 and you're up. So it's a very versatile wing. You can use, from a beginner, first time out, all the way up to your pro level riders, when they want just a bigger wing with more power for the light days, or if you're out there learning and you're just wanting to learn in some really calm, mellow conditions, but have adequate power, or that you can actually get up and learn. This is going to be a great choice for that as well. In terms of riding styles, I guess I would just say light wind. So anytime it's light enough, you just want to get out there and ride. This is going to do the trick for you. You can hold it down in surprisingly high wind. I'm 200 pounds, and on a faster foil, I've had this wing up to 23 knots or so fairly comfortably. It's starting to get a bit much at that point, but that's a pretty massive range for a 7-meter light wind wing. You can ride it that high, and also sub 10 maybe even sub 8 with the proper downwind board and foil for sure. So it's just a wing that works great for everything. Who it's uniquely suited for, I would say, is anybody surfing in light winds. One thing that this wing has that other light wind wings don't is a very lightweight, intuitive feel. It's really balanced. So when you're riding the wave in light winds, that's a really tricky situation a lot of times, but this wing does it really well. It holds a flagging position very stable and nice. Obviously, if it's light wind and you go charging straight downwind and kill all your apparent wind through the canopy, no wing can really hover in that situation. But what you can do is use a pistol grip up here and control the wing and how and where it flies. You can also use it to control the angle of the sail and keep it aloft when maybe it would normally kind of fall out when you're moving downwind. So that having this longer kind of pistol grippable front handle, and especially in the hard handle I'm looking forward to, really gives you some good control and ability in light wind wave riding. Whereas normally, big wings and wave riding don't mix too well. And arguably it still isn't the ideal thing, but if there's not enough wind and this is what you have to ride, having something that's well suited for the surf is definitely a nice addition to your quiver if you're in that situation frequently. Additionally, I would say, anybody that's looking to do free ride in light wind, this is a really great choice just because it does feel so much smaller. When you're whipping, the wing around your body, doing backwinded stuff, rotating the wing, doing all that crazy stuff where the wing handling can really get in your way if the wing is too cumbersome and wanting to drag, or just too big to move around or too heavy to move around. The CWC is really well suited for that kind of riding. Normally doing like rodeo jibe kind of things, cowboy job kind of things on a wing this big is really challenging. I did a couple, didn't have any issues at all, surprisingly, other than just wrangling the leash and where I wanted that to go, because it was a colder day and I didn't want to ride without the leash, of course. So yeah, this wing is a ton of fun. It does bump the price up just slightly as compared to the years previous, which is kind of to be expected when you add the Aluula, but not as much as you would think. Comparing it to other wings that are using Aluula, although they are using a whole frame, this is going to be the most affordable option in this size that's utilizing Aluula. And I can say that this frame that they've chosen, it's got some double layered Dacron here. It's a very stiff Dacron, and the way they've set it up in the seams is very stiff. Is very lightweight in itself. So even if they did make the frame Aluula, I'm not sure it's going to get that much better. It might have gotten a little faster, for the race guys, because they could make it a little slimmer. But, in terms of your normal people out there riding, having fun in light wind, I think this is a optimal combination of the Aluula technology and the affordability of the Dacron and the leading edge, where it really maximizes the intuitive nature and just the nice, lightweight, stiff feel of this wing. So I'm pretty impressed by it. Now, in terms of inflation, I didn't talk about inflation, I'm sorry. We've got a 2-point inflation here. That is nice to isolate everything, keep it clean, simple, no hoses to pull on, rip off, service, etc. But also with the Aluula strut, this is going to pump up to a higher PSI than the rest of the frame. The micro struts on the end are a 1-pump system, I should note. It's tied into the leading edge, so those get pumped up at the same pressure as the leading edge, all at the same time. It's just the strut here that you have to pump up individually to handle that. So we like to always poke fun at one thing, or maybe not poke fun, but complain about something on every wing. And as with any big high performance wing, I would say really the biggest downside to this wing is just going to be its price. It's one of the most affordable big wings out there. It is, from what I understand, the cheapest big wing using Aluula, but it's still an expensive addition to the quiver. You're looking at a $2,000 price tag essentially. Whereas a lot of your other wings in your quiver may only cost you $1,000 or $1,200 depending on what you're riding. But I would say that it really does pay off in terms of hours of fun on the water, getting you out there having fun when normally you'd be sitting at home. To be able to grab your wing with confidence when it's blowing a light wind and go out there on a nice, sunny, beautiful day and go have a blast cruising around, learning new things, and having adequate power without struggling is really, you know, something that you can put to the bank. You know, if every time you ride this wing and have a blast on it, you put $20 in your wallet, it's gonna pay itself off really fast. This wing is one, you know, around here in Michigan in the summertime, this would be one of the only wings I would have in my car if I could only pick one, just because you do get so many sessions, so many hours of fun off of one wing. In our area anyway, a lot of areas in the United States, light wind, summertime, you know, this is your go-to right here. Obviously, that's not the case everywhere when you get thermals and things like that, but if you are in a light wind area, a big, capable light wind wing is gonna be your best friend in terms of getting out there and having the most fun for your dollar. So it's worth the investment, I would say, and having a high quality light wind wing really pays off rather than just, oh, any 7 will do, any 8 will do. That is not the case. Some of the 7s and 8s out there in the market are very cumbersome. Some of them don't have that extra power that you want. So it's like, yeah, you got a 7, but it only has power like a 6. Okay, well, that's not that great. If you want a 7, you want a 7. And I would say the CWCs definitely are every bit of their posted size, if not maybe a little bit more, just because of that additional grunt and how easy they are to pump out there on the water. So this has been Tucker at MACkiteboarding.com. Let us know if you want to snag one of these. We'll be releasing this video somewhere around the release date, and hopefully we'll have stock at that point, if not shortly after. Really, really excited to get some of these in you guys' hands, see what you can do out there this summer, and really smiles for miles on the CWC. And until you try one, you don't know what you're missing. So if you see one on the water, you see a buddy with one, ask them to try it. Or maybe if you don't want to spend the money, don't, because you will fall in love with this wing for sure. So this has been Tucker with MACkiteboarding.com. If y'all have any questions, put those in the comment section below. Give us a thumbs up if you liked this video. Even if you didn't, give us a thumbs up, be a nice guy. Subscribe to our channel for more content like this. We'd really appreciate it. We'll see you next time.